on in, Nicole. You have to request. So there you go. Hey, you guys. Hello, hello. I hope your Thursday is going well. Hey,
Hi, happy day.
happy day.
How are you?
How's your day going so far? I'm going. I'm fine. I can't complain. I'm bouncing from place to place, but I know as it should, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's been a doozy of a day for me, actually.
Yeah. I hope, but you still got a beautiful smile on your face, right?
Oh yeah, because remember, everything is an opportunity they're all clues to helping us expand and grow. So uncomfortable as they may be, they're really powerful clues to our growth and evolution. So here we are.
Hey, you guys, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I see you guys coming on in. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. We got Nicole on deck. Nicole is a naturopathy, and I have this cool thing about myself where I run into cool people all the time. You know, I always did. It's always been like that. It doesn't matter which field I'm messing with. I always run into the cool people. Is that true meaning? Like people, like minded birds of a feather, they always flock together, like spirits. It's just like that. If you're connecting with, if you have weird experiences in your life or weird people that come into your life, you might want to check yourself, right? I'm just saying. So, Nicole, please introduce yourself. Tell these people what you got going on because first of all, I met her. I have this strong passion with the people that I connect with in the store of Organic Roots and Temecula. My products are inside of that store, and the people that are in there are just so lovely, so beautiful. I talk about, how people eat is the way their personality depicts them. And when I tell you, some of the most sweetest spirits and souls were in there. So a few people have left, not because they have been fired or anything, just because they just had to do a transition in life and do some other things. So she was one of those people who transitioned from my other sweetheart, okay, just my sweetheart, and she got replaced with another sweetheart, So I'm so blessed. But when I'm there, we always connect when it comes to health and wellness. We talk about all these different things that help people. And sometimes I used to go live in there and let them explain certain products and herbs and things like that so people can understand what else they have to offer to themselves when it comes to going holistic. So I met her. I fell in love with her and I said, you know what? We have to do some stuff together because we're on the same platform, and so this is why we're here right now. So please introduce yourself, tell people about yourself and, how you can be of an assistance to them.
So happy day, y'all. Well, welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your life to watch this with us. I am Nicole Sanchez. I am an intuitive energy healer, flower essence practitioner, and board certified naturopath. And a little bit about me. So I originally started my healing journey in around 2008. Yeah, 2009. I had my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and she just wasn't getting better with conventional medicine. So I went on Dr. Google and Dr. Google helped me a lot in regards to cleaning up our food lifestyle because we were still kind of eating not so healthy. So I implemented a lot of food changes and guess what? She started to get better. Like different symptoms started to just fall away. But around 2015, she plateaued. And honestly, I also plateaued and still didn't feel that well because we tried a lot of different food lifestyles like vegetarian, pescatarian, vegan, raw foodist, juicing, just a lot of those different things. And it just never really fully resonated with myself. And so I said, you know what? I think Dr. Google has educated me enough. I'd kind of go back to school and get some more formal training on life and health and wellness because there's something to this, right? Because she already did get a little better. So in school, in naturopathic school, they introduced us to every healing modality available, as much as they could. So herbalism, homeopathy, flower essence therapy, pH balancing, foods, how the body works. I mean, you just get such a really broad spectrum of information and education, and then from there you get to decide what really resonates with you, right? Like what really tickles you and what you really want to specialize in. And for me, it was actually flower essence therapy. So flower essence therapy is flower remedies that help you release emotions gently, gracefully, but very powerfully. Every flower on the planet helps you release one specific emotion. So no matter what you're feeling, there's a flower out there that wants to help you. And so they had me fill out this questionnaire. It's 100 statements, emotional statements, like I get jealous, I turn to food when I'm upset, I get angry, I feel resentful, I feel people take advantage of me, like all these emotional things that we as humans go through, right? And I go, I'm fine. I don't need to fill this out. And the teacher's like, oh, honey, like just for fun, fill it out. And I'm like, no, I'm perfectly fine. I'm just here to learn about the body. And they're like, no, Nicole, it's body, mind, and spirit. And I'm like, no, it's not. Totally arguing with my teacher. And she's like, here, just fill this questionnaire out just to see, right? See what you're really feeling. Because right now you're saying you don't feel anything. But let's just see. So I took the paper and I started marking every single sentence. I was like, I think 99% of them were marked by the end of it. And I literally sat with myself and I'm like, I'm an emotional hot mess. And I had no idea. I thought I was perfect. I was 20 something. I was 30 years old. I was like, I'm fine. So she took my questionnaire. She made me a flower remedy, a personalized one based on all the answers. She narrowed it down. And that night I took the drops and I started to bawl like a baby. And I grant you, I was 30 and I rarely, if ever, cried, allowed myself to cry. I really put on that brave, masculine face of like, I'm tough, I'm strong, nothing bothers me, but it was crumbling me on the inside.
Before you say something any further, I got a bunch of little questions and tidbits that I wanted to insert, but I said patience. But you said something that just made me just pump those brakes for a minute.
Okay.
I was on a live with someone yesterday, a few people, and they were talking about the masculinity and of how a man is really strong. And I don't want to pull us into this conversation too much, but it's something that you said that I think that should be very pinpointed on. When it comes to the powers of emotional expression between the feminine and the masculine, I was expressing that we both, men and women, have masculine and feminine energies. Power principles is what they're called. And these guys that they say I'm masculine. I don't want to be told, that I'm stepping into no feminine power. But I was explaining to them, when you are being gentle and kind and loving towards your significant other, you have no choice but to respect that as a feminine principle. Not saying that you're feminine, but it's just a principle that you're expressing right now at that time. And this is what give your relationship hope, or give a person, the ability to feel like we can withstand whatever we go through, because a man is tapping into his feminine space, which is the feminine principle. So women have that same expression as well, but we don't really put it out there unless we have to. Same thing with men. So with men don't cry. They don't cry. And that's where a lot of men are expressing that masculine versus saying, let me tap into that feminine
flow
that I have, which allows me to become emotional and understanding, but women can hold back their tears and become tough, which makes them a masculine, being their masculine principle. So I just wanted to say it because it's interesting that you actually mentioned that. you know, that you stepped into a masculine space. So please continue. Thank you.
Yeah. And even to add to that, you're right, because I grew up my entire life. My mom would try to drill into me, like, put on a tough face, don't cry, right? But she was a single mom. So she was very much in her masculine
Mm-hmm.
energy. So she was not balanced with the feminine. Like you said, we have both. And so she in her teachings to me, it caused me to really lean into my masculine. And so I was a tomboy. All my friends were only boys. Like, I had a sister wound, so like I didn't have friends that were women. And so it really, really forced me into that masculine energy. And that night was when I took the flowers, because flower essences is a very feminine modality, very feminine. It's all about the emotions, about allowing things to flow
Mm-hmm.
and release energetically. And so it really pulled me out of that masculine into the feminine. I was bawling. And not to say that that happens to every single person, but that's my experience. I have clients that when they take their personalized flower essences, they feel really happy, or they feel really energized, or sometimes you don't feel anything at all, but other people around you see a difference in you because you're emanating a different frequency. So I just wanted to share that was my personal experience. And so
Along with that, there's a very strong importance of being out in nature. Nature is a feminine area, and what makes people so upset today, which this has a lot to do with road rage and everything, is that they're stuck in this space where they cannot enjoy the nature of life. A lot of people can heal even through their sickness just by going into the woods, just by
yep,
going to the
amen,
woods,
amen.
just by
Yeah.
going to the sun and getting some fresh air, just seeing the trees flow,
You know
you know.
what? There was a modality. I can't recall exactly what it was, but they were wrapping people up in red silk and having them lay out in the sun. So that you get color therapy and solar therapy, and it was healing pretty gnarly things just from laying out in the sun,
Mhm,
but wrapped in red silk. So you're right. It's
mhm,
nature is here for a reason.
mhm.
We've just become a little detached, and so now we're kind of remembering again,
And most
reconnect.
of the, because most people are not actually stepping out of their work environment. A lot
Yeah.
of people have like terrible graveyard shifts.
Yeah.
A lot of people have like 9 to 5s, especially when the sun goes down
Oh,
early.
oh yeah.
They're not catching any of the sun. They're not catching nature. So they're in that masculine energy.
Did you see I have a sauna? So a near infrared orange light sauna,
Oh, wow.
which is very, very I don't know the math the like the details about it, but it's very similar to the solar energy. So for people who don't get out in the sun, the
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 infrared
saunas are really
is, yeah, I'm going to grab one when I move into my home. I'm
oh yeah.
excited, but I'm going to get one. I always did appreciate saunas, but I didn't know that the sun, that the duplication of the rays of the sun is in the infrared one. So that's really good to know.
You
But it's
get that
important.
orange, it's the orange light therapy. And so it really
Oh,
penetrates your skin. It goes, I think when it's near infrared, it goes into your, sorry, I'm looking for a book. It's called Sauna Therapy. It's a really great book. My bookcase is right behind me. But it'll give you more details about it. I got my sauna in 2015 and I still have it. It's worth its weight in gold, everybody.
wow.
So worth it.
Wow, wow, wow. That's a big deal because you need that sun. The sun is important. It's better to get it outside, but if you can't get it any kind of way you can. Especially when they have these new practices where they combine the Himalayan salt therapy with the sauna, red sauna things. I have some friends that actually do this, and they have practices where they do that kind of therapy. If you are not getting any kind of sun, you best believe your attitude will have some kind of downside to it. It's very important to keep that sun in your life. It's there for a reason. Even if a lotus flower can come out and appreciate the sun and get excited about it, what does that
Yeah.
say about you?
Wait, what's that Instagram meme that goes around? They're like, remember to get sun and water and ground. You're basically a plant.
You're You are, and this is why when people go into nature,
Feel
they
better.
feel better. Like
Yeah.
people who had COVID, when COVID first kicked off,
They're locked in.
they will go out in the sun and start feeling so much better.
Yeah.
But even when I got COVID, I was sick as a dog. I didn't know what hit me. Okay. It was like at the beginning of it, I had an open mic night. My lip hit it and I froze up like, oh my gosh. It was just, I lost all the words, and the next day I went downhill and it started getting worse when the sun went down. And
Mm.
all I begged for was for the sun to rise. I got no sleep. I felt like I was about to die. And I just said, just bring me the sun. Just give me the sun. And that made me feel so much better. But if you haven't noticed, people get at their worst space of sickness when that sun goes down.
I definitely agree with you. Actually, when I got COVID too, I don't know if it was COVID. I didn't test, but it definitely felt gnarly. Yeah, you're right. I didn't like the night, but I think it's a lot with many things, like even colds or pneumonia. Things kind of get worse at night for
At
some
nighttime.
reason. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Nighttime.
Oh, and
And
don't forget to ground. To like, I make it a point to try to at least touch the earth with my feet once a day. At
oh,
least.
that's beautiful.
At
That's beautiful.
least.
Now, I have someone that bought something for me, and it's a grounding pad.
Okay.
Have you
Oh
ever heard of
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I sleep with it, and I'm so grateful that that they got it for me. Okay, and because it brings back dreams. It taps you into your dreams, and I noticed because I'm a dream person. But there's some things that I will remember, and if I remember, it's telling me something in particular. But with this grounding pad that I have that I sleep with, which I'm so grateful. If you're watching, I thank you for it. It literally opens that REM sleep up. It does. It connect you and you can get all kind of information out of that. So if you guys are not grounding, at least you can ground in your bed, you can go
Yeah.
online and look for those grounding pads,
Yeah, and I
they're
always tell
available.
my clients there's things out there for you, but remember, you always have the ability within yourself. So
Mhm.
if you take a little bit of time before you go to sleep to just meditate and ground yourself, clear the day. So meditation, for me, is like an energetic shower. So we shower our bodies. At least I take a shower every day, sometimes twice a day. But what about our mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies? They need showers too. And
Absolutely.
so I always start my day with meditation, setting up all my tools, setting my intentions for the day. And then at night, doing the same thing, but cleansing myself of anything that I might have picked up. That's why sometimes people have dreams about conversations being replayed in their mind when they're sleeping, or a movie scene popping up in their dreams. It's because that energetically got in and that wasn't cleansed out before they went to sleep. So people who have nightmares and things like that, number one, what are you watching?
My son, my
Number
son.
two, are you meditating? Are you healing yourself in any way, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish
And
I would
those
have
are,
known that before, because when I had my experience being in the military,
uh-huh.
I was having nightmares, with tsunami, and I was having moments like that, where the tsunami moment was just, I was seeing these dead bodies all over the place, and they were popping up in my dream, and I never knew to actually meditate. This meditation stuff for me is pretty new. It's probably, I think probably like maybe the last 8 years, but these last 3 years, these last 4 years, I have been taking it more serious. And these last recent years are like, I've been taking it up big time, but it's very, very helpful because I didn't know. I did not know.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we have so much power within us. And there's different types of meditations. The one that I do is more of like guided meditation, energy healing, energy clearing type of meditation, which a lot of them are amazing. But the way that I do it, it changed my life. Back to the story when I was doing the flower essences, I felt all the emotions were coming up, which was great, and I felt better. But then after about having my practice and focusing on people with digestion, which you and I are all about digestion. So we'll switch that in a second. I love
Wait,
talking
what's
to you about it.
what's our word? We're popular.
We are very popular. I said that to her the other day at the
I
store
have a
because
problem
we had a
talking.
customer. He was talking about his you know, his number twos, and I said it's okay, and he was a little embarrassed, and I'm like, it's okay, we're very popular.
We will talk about it. No problem.
Poop is huge. But anyway, so I did my naturopathic practice, and I really worked with people very lightly on the emotions, very with the flowers, you know, and then a lot about the digestion and the physical things. But then after a couple of years, I'm like, there's more to healing.
Yes.
Let's go back to the spiritual part, because I was raised Catholic, and I had denounced my faith, and because I was being forced to go to church twice a week and had nuns as teachers who weren't very nice, and like all that stuff that you hear about, I went through. And I'm like, okay, there's something about spirit. So I did body, mind, emotions. Now let's tap into the spiritual part. And holy moly, my life. I mean, if you had known me like 5, 6 years ago, you'd have been like, Nicole has some issues, because I used to have rage. I used to throw laptops and phones and remotes, and yeah, I was a hot mess, I said, right? And now when people meet me, they're like, you're just like a little light fairy. You're always happy, because I've cleared so much crap from my past lives, from my childhood traumas, from my ancestors, like all the spiritual things. So yeah, I just want
And,
to add that in.
and you did that through flower essence.
No, so that is intuitive energy
Into
healing.
okay, okay.
So intuitive energy.
Explain that.
Yeah, so intuitive energy healing is an energy healing modality. So I work with your inner child. I work with your womb as women. Our womb space is really important. So womb healing is really beautiful,
Yes.
where I can energetically, so I have all my intuitive abilities, also known as the psychic abilities. So I can see energy, I can hear energy, I can smell energy, I can sense and feel. A lot of people who say that they're empaths, what they're really saying is that their clairsentience is really heightened, which means that they can sense people, right? So it's just intuitive abilities. And so through the training that I went through, I was able to really develop my abilities, which we all have, by the way. We all have these abilities. But through schooling, through people saying that you're crazy or that you're imagining things, it gets shut down and shut down and shut down.
Right.
So in the schooling that I went to, it helps you to clear all those blocks, clear all that shutting downness. And so it can come up and you can start utilizing it for healing yourself and or healing others.
Well, before they used to call them witches, and
Yeah.
then throw them in a river and see if you float. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Craziness,
Yeah.
Because they didn't want anybody to look up. They didn't want anybody to tap in, because they wanted to keep them in a religious political stance where it controlled their way of thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you bring up the word God, because in reconnecting with my intuitive abilities, I found God. I found Jesus Christ. I found all of my angels. Like, it actually connected me back to that spirituality that I had really denounced, because in looking within and seeing that I have this power, I was able to see that there is something greater than us. There is something that protects us and wants the best for us.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it's a really thing. And people think that you aren't spirit, like you don't believe in God if you're spiritual, but you believe way more deeply sometimes than religion.
Beyond what they say.
Because some religions are really based on fear, and the spirituality that I have is based on love and acceptance and peace and ease. And so, yeah.
Yes, it's true. Now, you talk about your mom, how you healed her, you helped heal her, because there's a lot of people that's talking about they have MS nowadays. Can you explain MS?
Yeah. So
now, I know what it is, but it's pretty interesting that a lot of people are coming down with this at this point.
yeah, so multiple sclerosis, and forgive me if I say anything that's not like medically correct, because it's been years since I've looked at someone with MS from a more that point of view, I really look at, when I look at clients now, I look at mind, emotions, and spirit, and then the body. So because I found that there's quicker healing when you can help the person
Mental.
in those ways, and then gently heal them physically. So, but everyone's different. So I don't ever have the same session with people. It's always a unique experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a unique experience because everyone's gone through unique life things. But MS for short is the neurons in the brain. So they're like electrical highways, okay, and they get cut. So the highways are, there's no longer a connection, and so information can't travel through the nerves and that system, the nervous system. And so eventually the person starts to lose feelings in their body parts, sometimes the legs, sometimes the hands, sometimes the face, so forth and so on. They also can start to not really remember things, because remember, the brain is the nervous system. It's like an octopus. The brain is the head of the octopus, and then all your nerve endings are the legs of the octopus.
Absolutely. CNS and the PNS.
Yeah, exactly. And so then even those nerve endings come along your spine. So that's your spinal cord, right? It's the nerves that are all there. So eventually, sometimes too, some people with MS, start to kind of shrivel. They start to go crooked. They really just, the body form can start to deform. So long story short, with my mom, like I said earlier, I really helped her with a lot of the food stuff. Like that was the first step. Then the second step was, okay, I learned all the naturopathic, modalities. Let's start implementing supplements. Let's implement digestive enzymes and probiotics and all these things to really help the body heal on a physical plane. And it did. Man, the lesions on her spine. So lesions are kind of like, let's say, holes in the spine and plaque in the brain. The lesion started to disappear completely. Her neurologist was like, MS doesn't, you can't heal MS. And I'm
They
in the
always
corner.
say that.
Yeah,
They
and I'm
always
in
say
the
you
corner
can't
like,
heal something. Yeah, I know, right? I just love being just look at them crazy and be like, yeah, right. So,
yeah. And then she asked my mom, she's like, and I'm sitting in the corner in the office, I'm just like, I'm not going to say anything. And she's like, what are you doing? And my mom's like,
Don't you
oh,
love
a
that
whole bunch of
question?
stuff.
Don't you love that question? All day. Just like, yeah, don't tell them. Don't tell them. Just leave them blind, because all they're gonna do
Yeah,
is just try
because
to shut it. Yeah.
there's a lot more medical doctors that are open now, which I'm so grateful that things are starting to integrate, because everything has its place. Conventional medicine has its place, as well as wellness, holistic medicine, and or modalities. Because I tell my clients, I'm like, your leg gets cut off, don't call me. Go to the hospital, let them pump you up with whatever they need to do to sew your leg back on, and then come to me for, recuperating and healing quicker. Like, let's do that. So
Right.
everything does have its place, and a lot of medical doctors now are being more open to healing modalities. But some are, unfortunately, are still not, and they'll quickly shut down something like an herb or, a
They like those
homeopathic.
bonuses. That's why.
Like a what?
They like those bonuses.
Some of them do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like not, I try not to like couple everyone, like all doctors under the same umbrella, because there are some amazing medical doctors out there now. But
And they work excel. Yes,
it's
yes.
really it's really up to us that we all do our due diligence. So we are our own healers, period. Like I
Yes.
see, my title is intuitive energy healer, but really, when I sit down with you, I'm helping you heal
Right.
yourself. And that
Right.
was the lesson my mom taught me, because after we healed the lesions on her spine from the MS, we were going to start working on the brain plaque. Because in my belief and what I've been taught, your ailments heal backwards. So, for example, the first thing to go will be the last thing to heal, because it's the oldest thing to heal, right? So in MS, normally the plaque is the first thing that shows up, and then the lesions on the spine show up afterwards. So we were able to heal all the lesions on her spine. And then when I started to say, okay, mom, we need to work on the brain. What's the brain? Your memories, your traumas, your emotions, your nervous system, your fight or flight and freeze response. My mom looked at me and she said, no. And I go, wait, what? What do you mean no? She's like, no. I don't want to think about my past. I don't want to think about my traumas, especially
Why do
with
you
me.
think that? Why do you think that? Tell me why. Did she ever explain to you why she did not want to tap into that?
Yes. So now that I've shared with her that I have gone through sexual abuse in my childhood that she she claims she was unaware of, she's starting to tell me things like, oh, well, that actually happened to me when I was a child. But 8 years ago, she wasn't necessarily ready to tell me that. And I wasn't necessarily ready to hear it now that I think about it, because I didn't even know I was raped and molested and all these things until recently, like the last 4 years. So, but now that I'm sharing with her, like, hey, mom, these memories of mine are coming up, it's giving her permission and maybe feeling like she's in a sacred space to share, like, oh, well, that kind of happened when I was younger too, but I vaguely remembered. So that may be one of the reasons. Number two, back then, maybe my mom is very secretive, and that's actually one of the emotions that I cleared from my ancestors today, this morning, is all the secrets, all the deceptions, all the affairs and children born, like in my family tree. There's so much, myself included. My mom was my dad's mistress, so I was a child born out of wedlock, and in that secretive energy. So my mom has a lot of secrets, and she just wasn't ready for me to see them. Sometimes you don't want your family members to know.
Right, and this is the part that's so important. Before I say this, let me go ahead and make reference to back to nature. She said, I'm a naturopathic doctor and from Nigeria. Please correct me if I heard you guys talk about sauna and sun. How can this impact our mental health? The sun, put it like this. I always like to say things in a layman's way, where we can look at nature and observe it ourselves versus giving our own opinion, because everybody has one. But in the understanding of Buddha and the awakening, they say, if you want to understand life, pick up a blade of grass and you'll get it from there, right? So what that basically means is observe nature and see how nature responds. See how nature reacts. When the sun goes down, things get a little, but when the sun comes up, things get perky. We're the same way. So if we are not catching the sun, it's going to impact our mental, because the sun brings joy. It brings happiness. It affects each cell in the body. It can break down a virus. That's how powerful the sun is. So if we're not getting any of these things, let's just talk about just the virus or a bacteria. They're invasive. They have their special parts. They play a special role in our bodies. But some of those viruses and bacteria can literally take you down. Yeah. So if that sun cannot penetrate on that molecular level, then how is it going to make you feel? Yeah. It's going to make you feel bad. It's going to make you feel out of it. It's going to make you feel droopy and everything else. I always refer back to the ancient understanding. One of their most important flowers that they had was lilies and lotus. And they're very responsive to the sun. You can just look at the
sunflowers, a morning glory. Have you guys ever seen morning glories? They're like purple vine flowers, and when the sun comes up, they open. And they're beautiful purple flowers. And then when the sun actually starts to go like midday, because it's starting to come down, they close up again. Nature tells us.
Very responsive. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of it. Morning glory.
And I'm looking up a little bit more information about the sauna and correlation to like the sun, but because it's not something that I have on the top of my head. But let me see if I can find it.
Let me see here. I think I know which flower you're talking about. I think it was one that I ran into while I was walking, and I took a picture of it some years ago, and I was enamored with it.
So one thing that's really simple, one simple correlation between sauna that I like to tell people too, and I just remind it, is, what do you do when you're in the sun? You sweat.
These are your morning.
That's it. Morning glories. Yeah, that's it.
I recognize.
They're gorgeous.
It's not the one in particular, but I recognize these. Yeah, and then it takes out the toxins and the impurities out of the body as well. So what happens when you're toxic free and you're impurity free? Well, we're never going to be that way, but we can get to a space where we can detoxify ourselves a lot. And guess what? Don't you feel good when you detox? You look good when you detox.
I love it when I come out of my sauna. I feel so great. Like, I feel my nervous system is relaxed. Like, I just, it's really nice. I haven't been doing it that often. I used to do it religiously before, like every day, like years ago. But now that the sun's starting to go down early, it gets cold. I'm like, okay, I pulled it back out and I'm doing it at least 2 or 3 times a week.
It's
So,
very important. It's very
yeah.
important. Now, in regards to what we were just talking about with the history, I like
Oh,
to, even though,
wait, before we go on, hold on. Let me just say, because she was asking about the benefits. So I'm just going to say the benefits of sauna therapy. 1, improves circulation. 2, relieves internal congestion. 3, destroys bacteria. 4, destroys viruses. 5, destroys tumors. 6, promotes elimination of toxic metals and chemicals, radioactive particles, and other toxins. And 7, eliminates poison. And this is not my wording. This is wording from Sauna Therapy, if you're ever interested in getting this book. So I'm not making any claims that will be what happens to you, but this is what the book says. So, yeah.
it just basically tapped on what I just mentioned.
Yep.
So
With the sun, you were talking about the sun. I started talking about
the bacteria is in a very high, it can penetrate. It is very imperative to have that sun. So if you do have a sauna that mimics that and still can penetrate that, and plus is hot, is taking all those impurities out of your body, then it's going to make your emotional space feel good, even if it's temporary, but that has a lot to do with your state of mind too. Yeah. But in regards to history, okay, history with one person is impactful because they impact everybody around them. But history it goes even further with just generations of people, culture, ethnic groups, all that stuff. And we wonder why the world is the way it is today, because nobody wants to address the history. The history
that's coming back to what we were talking about with my mom, is like her history and the histories and all the pains and things that we've gone through. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's very important. And by me being a victim of molestation, I understood that even though I kept a beautiful disposition, I don't know why I was a little bit different, but I always have sympathy for the perpetrator because they have a story, right?
I'm the same way with you. Yeah, and I think that's an elevated point of view, actually, when you can get to that level of getting out of the victim mentality and being like, well, wait a minute, I'm the victim right now, but that victimizer was probably a victim at some point or another. And when I do heal, for myself, when I look at my own ancestors, there is so much sexual abuse. It's not even funny. So I understand why certain people in my family did certain things, and then the people who did do other sexual things that were not my family, I haven't even bothered to look at it. I just wanted to clear it. But when I see clients that come in with their own sexual traumas, it's just so interesting to look back that it's history repeats itself.
It repeats itself as long as you hold on to it.
Exactly. It has to be that one person that decides
break the cycle,
get off the merry-go-round. Like, and it takes a lot of effing courage, like so much, because it can be intense. And not to say that when you go into your energetics and when you start working maybe with an intuitive healer like myself, you're not going to necessarily have to know the details of what happened to you or your family, but you will need to at least know the umbrella of it, right? Yeah. You're not going to know if you don't want to, you don't have to, is what I want to say.
I don't feel it's necessary. It's more important to let it go. Okay. And what I found to be very true in my journeys of letting it go, because I wasn't molested once, I was molested twice. And I was afraid. First of all, you have to realize, and I was watching somebody that this man, he was molested, and the guy asked, how come this happened? He said, because I was ashamed. He said, I didn't know if it was gonna, people were gonna look at me crazy. And this was an 8-year-old kid, and another one was a 6-year-old girl. And that part right there, it's like we are children and trying to wonder why we have to feel so ashamed. So along my journeys of coming out of shame, which was a very hard thing to do, because for some strange reason, we protect those who hurt us the most for some strange strange reason. We're very protective over them. And I realized, why? Why do we have to be protective over those people who do this to us? They didn't protect us, right?
Yeah.
They hurt us with the hopes of making us quite like them. Some people go in that space and become that way. They become they will mess with somebody else,
Well, let me
and then
add to that. So that's called energetic programming. So there is a thing where one of the things that when I see a client that I see programming, I can go in there and clear programming, because that's something that happens. And I'll give you an example. You're sitting on the couch and you have your husband and you say, "Hey honey, can you give me a glass of water?" Okay, just a fun little request on your part. You're not doing anything, but to him, the more you say it, guess what? The more you're programming him.
Right.
And he may not understand that he's being programmed, that to the point where in the future, he automatically gets you a glass of water, even though you didn't ask for it. And so we do that on much, much more deeper levels, especially with people who do hurt us, where we're being programmed by them to control us.
Absolutely.
And that's on a more, it can be not malicious, but it can be like subconscious control. And so it's just clearing that, because you're saying like, why do we protect them? Because there may be more there that meets the eye.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I totally agree, because that was a space where I was like, I'm afraid, but I feel, why do I feel like I'm under a spell? And I'm afraid. I don't know how and to the point where I start staying away, even as an adult, even though I wasn't in that space anymore. It was like, I don't even want to let this person know, that, which I didn't, but it still was a space of, I hope they don't see me. Like, I'm scared as an adult, so what I have come to understand was, as an adult, because a lot of times we hold this for so long and it eats us alive. And I realized that you have to let that energy go and put it out there, and don't be afraid.
But no one teaches that. So
nobody teaches that.
This is why I've made this my life purpose, because I heard all my life, just let it go. Just let it go. My mom, this is my mom's word.
Let it go like that, though.
My mom was like, put baby, pretend you're in baby oil and let it slide right off of you. And I'm like, but that doesn't make sense to me. And so with the flower essences and with the intuitive energy healing, meditation too, I finally figured out how to let it flow, how to acknowledge it from a place of love and neutrality, to be able to fully let it go.
Right. And in the sense of what I mean when I say let it go would be more of let it out. It's okay. Talk about it.
That too, yeah.
Because when you talk about it, you're releasing that from yourself, and you're putting it onto the person who it belongs to. Because as long as it's being held, you're protecting that person.
Let me give you that is one perspective. That's how I started my journey. Let me share another perspective and see if it resonates with you. So when we don't have tools of neutrality, is what I call it. These are these energetic tools of being able to read yourself, recognize emotions, recognize spiritual contracts, cancel curses, remove beings out of your space. Those are spirits without bodies who might be causing harm to you, or causing you to act a certain way, and you can't, like you said, I feel like I'm in a spell, like that kind of thing. Then the way to do it is the way that you're saying, is to vocalize, to stand your ground, to hold your boundaries, right? But what I have found is that when you learn tools of neutrality, you don't have to say anything. You can take care of it all energetically. And I'll give you an example. I had a really bad relationship with a friend, and a bad fallout, I should say. And I didn't want to face them. I didn't want to deal with it. It was a really sticky situation. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to make it worse by bringing it up to them, because they're not in a place of neutrality. They're just going to want to fight with me, right? Some people are just so stubborn that they don't want to even see anyone else's point of view. And so you're just going to keep hitting that brick wall and getting hurt. That's how I felt. So I said, okay, instead of physically trying to fix this or rebalance this or even find some peace with this, I'm just going to go within. I'm going to go within. That's it. And believe it or not, everything rebalanced itself because I was talking spirit to spirit, her higher self to my higher self, not her inner child, not her victimhood energy, right? I was talking spirit to spirit and everything rebalanced. So there's another option that if you ever would like, I would love to teach you. Because it's so magical.
I'm down for it. I'm definitely open, and I do understand like different ways of addressing it. But I'm in a different space. You know, I had to learn different ways, and I know that even when I try to address my perpetrator, with the mindset of what happened, was there something that happened to you?
You did? So you actually had the conversation with him?
Yeah, because I wanted to understand what happened to you because this person was a repeat offender. So that let me know that there was something deeper within.
Yeah.
You know, especially knowing how history has caused everything to be. You know, history has made things, where people are just generationally jacked up. So by me, I'm just that type of person that just I have this understanding, and I'm glad I do. But I actually asked, and when I did ask, because before I asked, I had to let it out of me first and stop holding it in, eating myself alive. And I talked to somebody. And when I talked to somebody, even though it was crazy and it was a scary situation, to be able to get that off my chest, it felt better. I felt better letting it go. And what happened was, true story. When I let it go, that person got sick. And not only did they get sick, guess where they got sick?
Reproductive organs? Yeah.
Reproductive organs.
Yeah.
Because my mental, and like other people who have, this is why tapping into the history is very important. And it's just not with molestation, it's with everything. Yeah. Abuse, verbal abuse, because trauma begets trauma. If you don't address what's going on, what has happened to you, even if that person doesn't want to let you talk to them and try to figure out, what's going on, it can cause a lot of resentment. It can cause a lot of heated passion, and somebody can get frustrated, if not both, right. But you will get nowhere, but if you take the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to be logical. I'm going to take a stance of understanding. I'm going to say, I'm not going to place myself in victimization anymore. Even though this has happened to me, I'm still going to be very centered and question if anything happened to you. Maybe we can get somewhere. And even if you just ping that person is going to sit back, even if they fight, they're still going to sit back and say, let me think about this.
Yeah. And a lot of people have blocked it out. They don't know. And I'm happy that you brought up the reproductive organs too, because when I healed my own sexual traumas, which granted there was very many, and did with 3 different people throughout my life, I recognized that as I healed it, my reproductive organs got healthier. So I used to have my moon cycle would come once a year, twice a year growing up. Wow. But the more I started doing womb healing, the more my cycle started to be regular, the more my cycle started to be pain-free, because I was releasing the pain, right? That was felt there. And it's interesting that you say that when you released yours, he got stuff happening to his reproductive organs. It's like almost like you gave it back to him. Like, this is not mine. This is yours.
Absolutely.
And that's where it landed in him, in his reproductive organs.
Absolutely. And for you to say that, I have a girlfriend who is going through a hysterectomy, and she made mention. She said, you know what? She's been through it as well. Yeah, there's when things get a little more settled in my world, when I get things a little more level, I'm going to start a foundation that says it's okay. And it's going to be based on people who have been victims of this situation and abuse and stuff like that, but mainly molestation, because a lot of people hold this stuff in and it eats them alive. And throughout their life, they become very traumatized,
Yeah.
and then they traumatize other people. And
Or they
or
have horrible sex
or they have,
lives, right?
in this part right here,
Oof.
my girlfriend, she has had she's on the verge of having a hysterectomy. She was just talking to me saying, you know what, I'm realizing that when I get rid of this uterus of mine, she said, I already feel free, that I'm going to be getting rid of the problem. She said, I've been invaded in this area for so long, and this is why I'm constantly having these problems after problems, relationship problems, cycle problem. Whenever she had sex with anyone, she would just bleed profusively.
Wow. Yeah, that's the body talking. Yep.
And she said, I'm realizing that the abuse portion of my body is still being abused. And she said, and it's to the point where this is the problem. You know, it's sad that she's having this, and it is a bittersweet situation, because I'm like, let me help you. I can help you get out that situation naturally, girl. You know, but she just, you know, she have to take her own path, but she identifies, and she's another spiritual person as well, but she identifies that this abuse that I've been through is causing all these reproductive issues.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I don't have any words to say to that because it's so connected. Like
The
for
mental.
myself personally, and for many women that I've helped, even women who have had difficulty getting pregnant. I mean, I have a client who still to this day, her daughter I think is like 3 or 4, and she says, Nicole got me pregnant, and I'm like, wait, I didn't get you pregnant. We just did a womb healing and cleared the stuff that was blocking you from being able
Yes.
to
Gotta
create in
detox.
your womb.
Yes.
Yeah, and as women, so our womb's like a little chalice. It holds, right? We say we hold a lot in our hips. It's really the little chalice of our womb. And oh my gosh, a lot of if there's abuse, there's emotions, it all just gets held right there.
Isn't
And
it interesting how we detox it out every month?
exactly. Well, I like to look at my womb as like a cleanse, like a monthly cleanse. Like it just sheds what it no longer needs. It sheds what it's not highest for my highest good, or for in divine love, right? And so when you're not having your cycle every month, and there's something that you're holding on to, right? Something that you're
Absolutely.
not wanting to let go, to like let flow, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I talked about this at my workshop. Is emotions is feelings in movement. That's an emotion. When we hold it in, it's not able to do what it's supposed to do. It's just flow, to move through you, and it
Let's
gets
talk
held.
about your let's talk about your workshop. What kind of workshop is it that you're holding, and that
Um,
what are you doing with these workshops?
yeah, well, right now I'm doing the stress release workshop. So it's intuitive guided meditation where you're allowed space and taught tools of emotional release from a place of neutrality. And right now they're once a month. I think the next one's December 6th, and it's going to be through Zoom. So anyone in the world can take it. Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. A lot of people need to learn how to detox these. I did a live earlier today, talking about the importance of freeing the mind. You know, you gotta know how to have some tricks. You know, because it holds so much trauma. And the sad part about it is that most people don't know how to release that. They don't know how to. They don't even realize that they're in their head, because they're always in their head, and they don't realize that they can come out of their head. And one of the best ways of doing it, which can be a very difficult task if they don't have any tricks and tips,
I
is
can
by living in the
teach
now.
a trick now if you like.
Huh?
I can teach a little trick right now
Go
for
for
anyone
it.
who's watching. Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to teach you your place of neutrality. So it's kind of funny because it's kind of in the center of your head, even though you just said people are living in their head, but where in their head? There's different places in there that we live in. So you want to take your fingers and you're going to put them on this middle of your head on both sides, and imagine that a line is being drawn from one of your fingertips to the other side of your fingertips, right through the center of your head. Okay? That's one line. And then you're going to directly put one in the front and one in the back. And you're going to draw another line from the back of your head to the front of your head, your front finger. So now you've created an invisible X, right? In the center of your head. Okay? And with your eyes closed, visualize that you're going to the center of those two lines, where the X meets. And just notice what it feels like being in there. Like, that's a really great practice of, like, let me see if I'm in the center of my head, in my place of neutrality, also known as your third eye. And then one thing I like to guide you on is, with your eyes closed, looking at that, being in the center of your head, think about something in the future, right? Like something you have to do tomorrow, something that you have to do in a couple of hours or in a couple of months. Immediately, you're where you're at in the center of your head, you're going to start going forward, right? You're going forward into time. So now you're more in the front of the forehead, and you're thinking, you're constantly like trying to replay things, like what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And then pull yourself back to that center of the head, where the X's cross, and notice how that feels. And then the last thing is, think about something about the past. And you'll notice that you'll go to the back of your head. You'll go to farther in the back. You'll move down that line and just be in the back of your head thinking about, your childhood 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago. And that's when we're not living in the center of our head, in our place of neutrality. And finding that center often throughout the day can help this is not grounding. This is something completely different. Grounding is a bonus, but just finding that center of your head can bring so much more peace, because you're not in the future, you're not in the past, you're in the present moment.
I was just speaking of that earlier today. How important. One of my tricks, that's a beautiful one. A girlfriend helped me out with one when I had enough. I felt like I was getting sick. It was messing with my body. It was causing inflammatory responses. Just the thought kept me, bad thoughts, or repeated thoughts. It wasn't necessarily bad thoughts. It was repeated thoughts, triggers. They kept repeating over, and it would be something that I would see, and it would trigger a moment where I was there before, and it was many of them around me. And my girlfriend said, go in your head, right? She said, first you have to realize that where you are. She said, picture yourself being in a rowboat, and you're in a river, and or just a lake or something like that, and you see this negativity coming to you. You got to paddle. She said, whenever you see that negativity coming to you, you take that paddle and you push the water outward so the negativity can go in the other direction.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And when I tell you, I held on to it, but the trick is that I had to recognize when I was in that space, because it's not easy knowing that you're there, because they happen so often. It's just so consistent when you're just there, so and today I had a moment. This is why I went on live earlier today, because I was like, let me share this moment, because I was thinking about the future, and I was like, get back in the now, get back to where you are. You don't want to think about the future, you just stick to where you are right now. It was a beautiful future thought, me getting into my home, and getting excited. I was like, come back, girlfriend.
We got to
get back
get there first. We got to take the step.
Exactly, because life changes, and then guess what? Here's a disappointment. So I try to stay out of that futuristic space and pull myself back. So what helped me out of that negative space where I was years ago that was the beginning of it. And then recognizing that I need to be centered in being a now. What's taking place right now? Because your head is not true. It's a thought, but you can manifest any of those thoughts. I remember there was a time where I used to consider, okay, there may be a possible argument coming around. Boom, That is. Just that small little thought came to
Oh yeah.
fruition, you know. So the way I started preventing that was like, okay, oh shucks, I had opened the door on that thought. Let me help you shut it, and let me put myself in the space of the now. And that would be, oh, I'm at the dishwasher, I'm at the sink washing dishes. This water is so warm.
Yeah.
I can appreciate this warm water.
Well, that goes
Oh
back to
look,
somatics, using your senses. So
yes,
sight, smell, taste,
anything.
hearing. That brings you to a present moment. And if you can do it from the center of your head and grounded with a grounding cord, woo,
Yeah,
magic.
yes, it is. I remember there was times where I would get up, like it would be like 3 o'clock in the morning, where I would go, like I couldn't dodge. I had a horrible relationship, y'all, and it was so bad to the point where I would run for the hills in the middle of the morning, you know, and exit the doors, and because there was no peace around me, but I knew there was peace outside. So I would stand outside and take my shoes off at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and place my warm feet on the cold grass that dew had set up on. And I didn't care because I felt so much better. And what I did was I looked up at the sky and considered the stars. And the person was right behind me talking mad smack, but nothing mattered.
Yeah.
Nothing mattered, you know, just those simple things like that. Even when I would just walk like a mile or two away, and I would just sit on the ground in some soil, you know, and just I don't know, something about it, it just would take me away from where I was at that moment, you know. But it is so important to figure out how to come up out of that space, because like I was saying earlier today, people get suicidal thoughts when they don't know how to escape from that. And then a lot of times, you know, some women can hurt their children, or the men can hurt their woman, because they have no control over their thoughts. You know, thoughts, those futuristic thoughts, you know, they can break a person down, and they can break a relationship easy. A beautiful relationship can be broken down by somebody being in their head.
Oh yeah, it's something that, like we always say, like they should teach all this stuff in school. Teach the money things, teach the emotional things, because it's things that we deal with every second, every
Yeah,
day, but not
yeah,
taught. And so that's where you and I are changing things.
yeah. Absolutely. So yes, you guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're going to be doing more of these. I'm going to be bringing on more people that I believe that can help change the situation that we're living in today. I'm so grateful for you, Nicole. Thank you for giving me your time, because your time is valuable. I really appreciate you. And we'll do this again. We will. And when you have some other things going on in your workshop, please let me know, and I'm going to share it. You guys go ahead and follow her, because she's such a beautiful spirit, and she has some tips for us to help us get along the way.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much, Nicole. I
Thank
appreciate you.
you. Have a blooming night.
You
Bye.
too.